My friend Ethan was the one who dragged me out there. He'd been obsessing over this rumored cave system, half collapsed, half untouched, according to some hiker he met on a trail. He left out one detail until we were halfway there. He said, "Don't go past the water." He said it casually, but the way he avoided looking at me told me he wasn't repeating a joke. That should have been the first red flag. We found the entrance at the bottom of a ravine, a jagged slit in the earth, half hidden under a curtain of tangled roots. Our jokes died the moment we crawled inside. The cave swallowed sound, not figuratively, literally. Every laugh, every whispered insult just vanished. No echo, just an oppressive, hungry stillness. We marked our path with chalk like amateurs, piece by piece, turn by turn, like breadcrumbs for something to follow. About 30 minutes in, the tunnel widened into a shallow underground stream. The water was glass clear but black beneath the surface, like it wasn't reflecting darkness. It was generating it. "This must be the line he meant," I said. Ethan grinned, stepped through, and the grin snapped off his face instantly. His entire body froze, his skin drained of color. "Dude," I whispered, "what's wrong?" He swallowed. It grabbed my ankle. Before I could respond, the water behind us rippled. Once, twice, then went perfectly still. "Probably a fish," Ethan said, but his voice trembled. We crossed anyway, and that was our second mistake. Past the stream, the cave opened into a massive room that felt off. Our headlamps bounced over, stone pillars etched with spirals, humanoid carvings with hollow, featureless heads, deep grooves like something had clawed the walls from the inside. Ethan lifted his lamp to get a closer look, and both our lights flickered at the same time. A single flicker, then a second, then darkness for a breath too long. When the light returned, something scraped against stone in the distance, wet, dragging. Slower than footsteps, but heavier. We froze. "Did your battery?" I began. Something rasped from the far end of the chamber. Not quite a growl, not quite breathing. Something in between. We turned our lights toward the sound, and at the edge of our beams, we saw it. A pale, too long body hunched like a starving animal, arms dragging across the rock, back arched at an unnatural angle, skin stretched tight, like something underneath was pushing outward. The moment the light touched it, its head snapped toward us. No eyes, no mouth, no face at all. Just smooth flesh stretched across a skull that felt far too aware of us. We ran. Not a conscious decision, more like survival ripping through our legs. Every time our lights flickered, it was closer. Not running, not leaping, just appearing nearer in each blackout like the dark itself delivered it forward. We reached the stream. We jumped. I swear something icy and jointed brushed my spine as I crossed. We kept running, following our chalk marks like lifelines, until Ethan tripped. I spun back to pull him up, and the creature stood just inches beyond the edge of our headlamps. Still, tilted. Featureless face pointed directly at us. I grabbed Ethan's wrist and yanked. We crawled, scrambled, slammed ourselves through the cave entrance, and collapsed on the dirt outside. For a moment, all we heard was our own panting. Then the cave exhaled, a long, low breath that made the roots sway overhead, as if the cave was disappointed we escaped. I didn't sleep that night. Every sound made my muscles tense. At 2 a.m., something tapped on my bedroom window, soft, rhythmic, patient. I froze. The curtains swayed gently, even though the window was shut. I pulled them aside with shaking hands. At first, nothing. Then my eyes adjusted, and in the far corner of my yard, a tall silhouette stood perfectly still, back arched, arms long enough to brush the ground. Featureless head aimed directly at me. It didn't reflect any moonlight. It was absorption. A hole in reality shaped like a person. My breath hitched. It took one slow, deliberate step toward the house. I dove away from the window and grabbed my phone. I called Ethan. He answered instantly, voice quivering. "Ollie, it's here too." Behind him I heard tapping, then scratching, then something heavier pressing wood. The last thing he whispered was, "It followed us home." The call cut out. My lights flickered, and from outside my window, something breathed. Not a human breath, not even an animal's, but the uneven, shaky inhale of something trying to learn how to imitate one.
I've explored caves my whole life, not as a professional, not even safely, just drawn to them. The cold air, the silence, the feeling that the world above doesn't exist once you're inside. But the cave I found last fall felt wrong before I even stepped in. The entrance was barely big enough to crawl through, wedged between two slabs of rock like the earth itself was trying to hide it. No trail, no footprints, no reason for anyone to ever find it. The moment I ducked inside, something shifted. The air didn't just get colder, it got still. Like the cave had just noticed me. My flashlight sliced a thin beam through the dark. Dust swirled through it like falling ash. I took 3 steps in, and the world outside vanished behind me. Silence, the kind that feels alive. I thought I was alone. I wasn't. About 15 minutes in, the tunnel split. Left side, narrow. Right side, steep drop. I chose left. My footsteps echoed once, twice, then stopped. Not faded, stopped. Like something swallowed the sound mid-air. I raised my flashlight. It flickered. Before I could smack it back on, I heard it. Hello. A whisper, not loud, not directional, just everywhere. I froze. The voice drifted through the tunnel, slipping between the walls like it didn't need air to travel. You came back. My stomach dropped. I hadn't been here before. But the cave disagreed. I spun around, aiming the flashlight. The tunnel behind me was longer, narrower, different. Like it had shifted while I wasn't looking. "Hello," I called out. No answer, just breathing, but not mine. Soft, layered breath right behind me. Then suddenly far ahead. Then right next to my ear. The flashlight flickered violently. Something moved at the edge of the beam. Not walking, not crawling, peeling itself off the wall. I staggered back, tripped, hit the ground. The flashlight flew from my hand and clattered across the stone. Darkness swallowed me whole. The whispers surround. The whispering changed. More voices now, dozens, urgent, begging. "Don't run. Stay with us. Behind you." I scrambled blindly until my fingers brushed the flashlight. My hands shook so violently I almost dropped it again. I clicked it on. The beam was weak, barely a glow, but enough to see it. The shadow that stood at the far end of the tunnel stood a shape. Human-shaped, tall, too thin. Like a shadow cut out of the darkness. No face, no details. Just an outline of something that shouldn't be standing. As my light touched it, every whisper stopped. The figure tilted its head. And then, it stepped forward. Not fast, not slow, just certain. Like it already knew I had nowhere to go. The chase I ran. The tunnel scraped my shoulders as I sprinted, rocks biting into my arms. The voices returned, louder, furious, swirling around me like a storm. "You left us. Come closer. Come back." My flashlight dimmed with each step, the darkness feeding on the light. Ahead, a faint glow. Daylight. I hurled myself toward it, lungs burning, legs shaking. Behind me, something scraped across the tunnel floor. Fast, multi-limbed, getting closer. My flashlight sputtered, went dark, but the daylight grew brighter. I threw myself at the narrow exit, slammed my shoulder into the rock, and forced my body through the crack. The outside world returns grass. wind, sky. The world hit me like a punch. The cave entrance gaped behind me, absolutely silent, as if nothing had ever lived inside it. I lay there shaking until the sun shifted behind the trees. Before leaving, I turned and lifted the flashlight, shining it inside one last time. The beam stretched only a few feet before the dark devoured it. But in that split second, I saw them. Dozens of handprints covering the walls, pressed deep into the stone, too deep. As if something had been pushing outward, trying to escape, or trying to drag someone back inside.
I never thought rock could pay attention to you, but the cave did. It watched me the moment I stepped inside. The entrance sat hidden between two crooked cliffs, not inviting, not marked, almost like the land wanted it buried. A local guide warned me hours earlier. Don't wander too far, the cave keeps what it likes. I assumed he meant you could get turned around. I didn't know he meant something alive. I went in at noon. Clear mind, fresh batteries, plenty of daylight. The first chamber felt normal. Dusty air, echoing drips, the usual underground quiet. But 2 rooms deeper, the sunlight behind me went out like someone shut a door. No fade, just gone. I kept going anyway. My flashlight carved a thin path through the black, catching ridges and rock formations that looked twisted by heat. For a while, everything made sense. Left turn, right bend, follow the chalk markings, repeat. Then I saw something that nearly stopped my heart. A carving on the wall, a jagged spiral, one I had marked earlier. Same shape, same fissure running through the center. Impossible. I was nearly a mile farther in. My throat tightened, but I kept walking. The tunnels branched again. I turned left, then right, then straight. But every section looked familiar, not identical. Familiar. Like the cave rearranged itself just enough to make you doubt your own memory. Then, at a dead end, I found something worse. A piece of torn fabric stuck to the wall. My fabric, my jacket color, my size. I checked my sleeve. Perfect. Untorn. I didn't breathe for a full 5 seconds. A low vibration rumbled through the stone beneath me. Not from above, not from shifting earth, from the cave itself. I ran. Footsteps slapped against the rock. My light threw broken shadows across the curve of the tunnel. Out of nowhere, a breeze brushed my face. Cool, fresh, real. Daylight. A yellow glow shimmered ahead. I sprinted so hard my vision blurred. And then, grass. Open sky. Wind against my face. A valley stretching wide. I fell to my knees laughing with relief. But when I turned around, my stomach dropped. The cliff walls were wrong. Too steep, too tall. And behind me, only 10 steps away, the cave entrance. The exact same cave entrance I had just escaped. Perfectly identical. As if the world had rebuilt itself around me. No way, I whispered. But even my voice sounded muted, like the air didn't want to carry it. I walked away fast, checked my compass. The needle spun wildly, jittering like a trapped insect. I climbed a hill, walked a ridge, circled a clearing. 10 minutes later, the cave entrance waited in front of me again. Same boulders, same cracks, same open mouth. Almost eager. I tried every direction. North, south, straight up the rocks until my hands bled. Every single path bent back to the cave like gravity was wrong. Like the land itself curved toward it. Hours passed, maybe days. My watch never changed. My flashlight never dimmed. My legs never ached. I wasn't surviving out there. I was being kept intact. Finally, exhausted and shaking, I walked back into the cave. I didn't follow the map, didn't mark the walls. I just wandered deeper, letting the darkness swallow me. After what felt like forever, I spotted something ahead, a crack of warm golden light, a way out, but not daylight. It was my hallway, with my carpet, my shoes by the door, my keys on the table. I stepped through and collapsed onto the floor laughing, hysterical, grateful. confused. Everything felt real. I showered, ate, fell asleep. Finally safe. But when I woke up, the air wasn't my room's air. It tasted mineral heavy, cold, too still. My hand brushed not a mattress but rough stone. My stomach twisted. I opened my eyes. The flashlight was beside me, still on, still bright. And I was lying on the same rocky floor from the beginning, across from me. The cave entrance, waiting, unchanged, patient. This time it whispered, a dry rustle inside the stone. Leave whenever you like, you always find your way back. And for the first time, I finally understood the warning. You don't get lost in this cave. It finds you, and it doesn't let go.